Hey everybody, welcome back to Jamia's Promo, and today I'm going to show you how I've customized my Samsung phone. There's about 10 different features or settings or applications that I've used just to make this phone more like me. Now there's very small, subtle things. One of the things that you might even notice on the top is that there's no battery indicator, just a percent. And also on the left-hand side, I actually did add in the AM and PM. So there's a few different cool little applications that you're able to download to get all of this done. Also, you might have looked at my lock screen. You noticed that there are shortcuts on the bottom, a little bit different than the normal two that's either on the left and then one on the right, as well as my Google search bar widget. So we're really going through a bunch of these things in today's video. So if any of those have interest to you, make sure you guys stick tuned, stay around, because I'm basically giving you how I've customized my phone and almost how I do it every single time. And if you do appreciate this video, you guys like it, and you do find that it is helpful, make sure you send that subscribe button as well as the bell for notifications to get notified for all future videos. And again, give this thing a big thumbs up, write a comment below the video on how you've customized your phone. Anything like that will help the YouTube algorithm push this video to more and more people. So the first one that we'll talk about today is going to be my Google search bar widget. This is actually what sparked this entire video, is someone wrote a comment on how I created this. So I decided to make a video on how I was able to customize my phone. So you want to click on that little Google search bar widget, basically just the word right there. On the very bottom right hand side, you click on more, and then you go to customize widget. Now I do know that maybe either some carriers or some regions does not allow you to customize the widget. If that's the case for you and you can't do this, you can always skip it. I will have all of the timestamps below the video inside of the description. So first off, how I set mine up here is I went inside of this G. Depends if you want it to have just a letter or if you want the entire name, and you just go to close. Then you go right over here if you want it to be boxy, rectangular, or completely rounded corners. And then you hit on close. Then right here, it originally started right there. So this is what it kind of looked like, a little see-through, colorful Google right there. I wasn't really a big fan. I went to the second one, didn't like that one, went to this one, and this is just a clean look. Now, if you wanted to, you can go through and you can change the color. So if you want it to be a completely different color, you can do that. You can play with both lines sitting right here. But again, on how mine is set up, I just choose this third option, and then I can basically just hit on close. Now, once you've done that, you can hit on done. So this is everything I've done with mine. If you want to go one step further, you can see if you want it to be a see-through or if you want it to be completely solid. I just kept mine the way it was stock. Now, once you have it all created, this is where you go to the very top and then you hit on done. And then once it's done, it's gonna just sit right there. Now, really, if you ever need to move it, you press and hold. Again, this is where you move it around where you want it to be. I believe earlier it was longer, and really all I did was I just shortened it up a little bit because really I don't press in here too often. I mostly just click there just to kind of read the news, even though I have the Google News right on the left-hand side. But that's how I've created my Google search bar widget. So the second thing I usually like to customize is the way that you go inside of different applications, your recent applications, things like that. So you can, swipe up from the bottom, go inside of the recent apps and tap on a particular application. I usually like just swiping down on the right-hand side. It's a way that you're able to switch between applications really quick. You can also get rid of them really quick. So if you don't need that one, if you don't need this one, but then you also have different options on the left-hand side. So with a lot of these applications, there's many things that you can do just right from this screen right here. So I can write a new tweet, I can capture something, write to somebody, things like that. So how you're able to set this one up is you want to download One Hand Operation Plus. Now, One Hand Operation Plus, you can get it from the Galaxy Store, I believe even from the Play Store. And how mine is specifically set up, I know we've gone over in One Hand Operation Plus before, but really quick, the left handle, I have nothing for up, nothing for down, but only for straight right. That is a way that you're able to have the back key. For the right handle, again, straight left, it's going to be the back key. Diagonal up is nothing. Diagonal down is my task switcher. So if you want to set it up the same way as me, you just download One Hand Operation Plus. You swipe all the way down to the bottom. You have this option for task switcher. You can even change how many you want items, in that little screen. 10, I think, is perfect. I don't think I ever have more than 10. So then when you go back one more page, the last thing I do want to show you is inside of the advanced features. You go to animation, and that's going to be the animation that you see when you actually swipe from the sides. So I do like the option for the curved line, and then also the arrow colors. Really the only two things that I made sure that I switched was I do like just the way that this is set up. So again, just make sure that you can change the color. The left handle for me, at least, I only have one thing, which is the back. The right side, I have back and then task switcher, which is again on the very, very bottom. Very, very quick to go through, all the different applications. Now, the next thing that I went through and I changed, and it's actually one thing that is pretty cool, it was kind of added in, so it's a way that you're able to change the folder grid. So anytime that you wanted to change the way that it looks, just make sure you press and hold anywhere on the screen that's empty, you go inside of the settings, and instead of the home screen grid, the apps grid, this is where you have the folder grid. And with the folder grid, you can see that I have one that's set up from home up. So the only two options inside of the folder grid is the 3x4 and the 4x4, but I like 4x5. Again, it gives me more space when I open up a folder. So you can see here on the outer rim, you can only see 3x3. And then when you open it up, you got 4x5. Now again, through stock, it doesn't have 4x5, it has 4x4. So how I was able to set this one up was that you just want to download Home Up. So Home Up is one of the things you can actually get through GoodLock. Now, once you download GoodLock, you go inside of there. Let's say that you go inside of Home Up. Now inside of Home Up, this is where you can see the option here for folder. Now inside of the folder, this is where you can see the folder grid. Now the folder icon was what you see on the outside. That's what you see on your home page. I like 3x3. When you go anything bigger, the icons get too small in my opinion, so I don't really find it to be helpful. And because I title the folders, I know what's inside of them. Now when you go to the folder screen, this is where I switched it to that 4x5. 4x4 is something that is already there stock that they just added in recently. Beforehand, they didn't even have the option of 4x4 earlier, so I like 4x5. 4x6 you can do if you want, but this is at least the way that I have mine set up. Again, this is just all the applications that I like to use, and it just makes sense for me at least. When you take a look at the screen here, this one is actually set up by 5 by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So mine's a 5x6 for the regular application tray. Now the next thing that I've added in to customize my phone is this little edge panel here that's called Control Center. So if you remember, I shot a video, I believe it was earlier this year or it was the end of last year, and I explained why this was my favorite application I've downloaded, and it's just because it's so functional, it's super helpful. You just have your one-touch buttons right over here of basically your Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, you can turn on your flashlight, the power menu, the top you have the time, the battery, and really I like this one here because you're able to change your music player, things like that, change the songs through the side. It's really fun. Here's your home, back, recents, calculator. There's a lot of things inside of here. So instead of you trying to pull down and find it up over here, go in different areas, I feel like this was a pretty good consolidation of kind of putting everything all in once. So where you're able to download the Control Center is you do want to go inside of your Galaxy Store. Now inside of the Galaxy Store, on the very top, what you can do is you can just simply search for Control Center, and you're going to see it here on the very top from Edge Pro Team. Now, I can't remember if this one's paid or free. I think at one point it was free, but then it was paid. So I don't really know exactly what it is. I do have it installed. I believe I paid for it. I think it was like $1.49 or something like that. It was actually pretty cool. And so you can read a whole bunch of things inside of here. And actually one of the fun things is when you take a look at some of these screenshots, when you scroll through here, you can actually see that they took a screenshot from one of my videos here, just because I did mention that it was such a really cool application. So I'm really glad that they also liked this application as well too. And then when you scroll down, you want to see what is new, you can read what is new, and then underneath the description, this will actually take you to my YouTube video, which again is super cool. So a big shout out to the Edge Pro team for including me with this little snippet here of the channel, and then also linking the video itself as well too. But yeah, Control Panel is one of those things. I still stand behind it. I still use it all the time, and I'll probably try to reach out to see what we can do to improve this. So if there's anything that you guys would like to be improved, just write a comment below the video for a Control Panel or a Control Center. So then this way I'd be able to also include that, and maybe we can get that added in on this application. Now this next one is actually very simple. This one's just built into the phone itself. So when you scroll down, what you want to do is go right inside of your advanced features, and then inside of advanced features you're going to scroll down to where it says motions and gestures, and this is one of those things that you do want to turn on. So right here you got your double tap to turn on the screen, and you also have double tap to turn off the screen. Now for me, double tapping to turn off the screen is super helpful, especially when you double tap it to turn it on. I believe the double tap on is turned on by default, but the double tap to turn off the screen is off by default. So again, it just allows you to do this without having to reach over to the power button, because sometimes it's just a little bit easier just to give it a quick little double tap. So the next thing that I like to do to customize my phone is that, let's say we go back inside of Good Lock. So we're going to talk about Lockstar and QuickStar. So Lockstar is a way that you're able to fully customize your lock screen. So if you noticed at the very beginning of the video, or at least the thumbnail, I was able to move my clock around. I also moved around the icons, things like that. And now what is new is you're able to edit the landscape lock screen. So if your phone is in landscape mode and you are using lock screen, you can actually now fully customize that. And I like the fact that the lock screen timeout, you can change the time. So I put it at 15 seconds because I believe stock and by default, it is 5 seconds. And sometimes that's not long enough to view what is on the screen. So I did change that to 15 seconds. Now inside of here, what I did is that you can do an auto layout, but really what you want to do is you can tap on your time. You can move it up and down. You can put it wherever you want to, but make sure that you think about what is happening on the top of your screen where it has the lock icon and a few other things. So I did bring it down just a little bit. Then on the very bottom over here, this is basically where you're just talking about the position. So that's where you can position the time. And then this is where you position your notifications. So once you have those ones set up, then you go inside of wallpaper, and this is if you wanted to use a different wallpaper, but I use Samsung's wallpaper services where the background changes every time. So this is where you just go inside of clock, and with clock, I made it the largest just because it looks really cool. And then as you scroll on through, you just try to find whichever one you would like to use, and this is the one that we're using right now. So again, this is the one that we're using. It's towards kind of the top right-hand side, and I made it its largest it could be. And then when you go inside of items, so items is where, you know, this little helpful text right here where it says place your finger on the screen to unlock the phone. We already know that, so I took away that just to make it look a little bit more clean. You can also take away some of your face widgets. You can take away the music widget. You can also take away some of the icons, the status bar. But down on the bottom over here, this is where I clicked on shortcuts. And so originally, I believe, let's see here, there's actually a lot of those right there. So for shortcuts, this is what it looks like normally. And so it's just going to be by default. When you tap it one more time, you can make it to where it's coming from the right-hand side, coming out horizontally. You can also make it to where it's coming again from the right-hand side, going vertically. This time it's coming from the left-hand side, going horizontally, and then the left-hand side going vertically. So again, just choose, you know, however you would like it to look. So let's see here. We're going to go right back into the one that I've created. Now, once you have this set up, these are actually all plus icons. With the plus icons, what you're going to do is you're going to simply tap on the little plus icons, and then this is where you can add in all of your different app shortcuts. So these are the ones that I've created. So flashlight, obviously, 2 YouTubes, phone, text, and then Helium app. And you just hit on apply, and then they're just going to be sitting down here. When you've completely got everything that you are going for, let's just make sure that we got everything here. So I'm going to leave it the way that this looks. Hit on save, and there we go. If you wanted to edit yours in landscape, you can. More than likely, mine's always in vertical, so this is pretty much how it's going to sit. Now, let's move right on back over inside of QuickStar. So QuickStar is where I really like to kind of change some of my visibility of indicator icons. So you can see, just leave these 3 up there. But down over here is where you can get rid of maybe your mobile data signal, which I don't know why you'd want to get rid of that. Sometimes it's kind of nice to know if you have good signal, bad signal. If you always have an alarm going off every single day and you know you never turn it off and you don't need to have the icon, this is where you can turn it off. But what I did turn off is my battery icon. I don't need to have a little battery icon. Sometimes it looks kind of ugly. So if I take that away and I only have the battery percentage, then I'm cool with that. If you like to use NFC, but you don't need to see the icon, you can also turn that one off as well. If you have a phone that always shows VPN on the top and you know that you already have VPN, you can turn that one off. Now, the next thing that I did was the clock settings. This is where I added in the PM. It just makes it look a little different. Most people only have the time, and I threw in the PM. Now, if you want to make it look even more different, you'd be able to put in the PM or no PM, and you can move your clock to the right-hand side. So I'm going to keep it on the left, put in the PM, and then I took away the little battery icon, and then that is how mine is set up through QuickStar. Now, I've also had a lot of people ask me about which type of font I use. And so with this one, we go back inside of the Galaxy Store. And then inside of the Galaxy Store, what you're going to look at is underneath exclusives. Now, underneath exclusives, just scroll on down. You're going to see this area here that's called Made by Samsung. And you're going to see that there's a few other little fonts that you can use here. You just simply download them. Now, the one that I am using is called Samsung Sans. So this is the one that I hit on download and installed. Then once it installed onto my phone, then all I did was I just went to the very top inside of settings. This is where you go inside of your display. then you go inside of font size and style, and this is where you choose your font style to be Samsung Sans. Now again, I also like to have mine being bold, and then I usually bring it up about 1. And that's again, just my personal preference. Now the next thing that I always like to change, which you guys have seen just recently, is going to be my wallpapers. So I go inside of the wallpaper settings here, I go inside of wallpaper services, I turn on dynamic lock screen, I hit on save. And then when I go back to dynamic lock screen, I hit on the little settings wheel. Then this is where you choose your different categories for the different images that pops up every single time you go to a different lock screen. So special this time is kind of this black background with cool green shrubbery, flowers, things like that. Then you also have art, which is my favorite. And then life usually brings in some pretty cool things. So these are the 3 that I've used. There's other ones you can also choose. You can choose up to 5, and they update every 2 weeks. And I do download these ones through mobile data. It doesn't take too long or too much data, and auto update, just because, so this way I can always update you guys on the new really cool wallpapers. And again, every time you go to lock screen, it changes to a different background image. Now the next thing I like to customize is one that you can do from Sound Assistant. So you can download Sound Assistant from the Play Store as well as the Galaxy Store. So this is where I turned on the volume panel theme. And so then this way, anytime I hit my volume rocker on the right hand side, this is where you can either change it to the right, the left. You can also change the color if you want it to be a completely different color grid, however you would like it to look. Now, once you're done with choosing your color, you're turning on that whole volume, theme. Now, right over here for the change step volume, originally by default, this one's set to 10, which means that it's going up with increments of 10 when you hit the volume up. So I believe Samsung goes from 0 to 150. So that's 15 clicks going all the way up to the max volume. Now, sometimes you just want to go in between some of those clicks to get the perfect volume that you want. So that's why I moved this one down to the number 5. So this way, instead of 15 clicks, it's 30 clicks. So I'm able to get that exact volume that I'm looking for. Now, the other thing is inside of the advanced settings. Now, inside of advanced settings, this is where you go to favorite media app. So this is where if you'd like to select which service you use as the regular main default application, the one that you choose, you can choose Spotify, whichever one you like to use. And so now anytime that you interact with a whole bunch of things, now it knows what your favorite media app is. Now, this very last one that I like to change is going to be my quick button layout area right up over here. So again, when I pull it down once, you can see my brightness line pops up right away. You can also see devices and media. When I pull it down one more time, devices and media goes to the very top, and then you can just kind of customize everything inside of here. So how I'm able to set up my screen right here is that when you pull it down twice, you hit inside of those 3 little dots, you go to quick panel layout. So I have all 3 of these turned on. So show brightness and control above notifications, show devices and media buttons, and show devices and media buttons above notifications. So anytime that you want to have yours set up, like this, those are the 3 options that I turned on. And then you can also go through editing of the buttons. So this way, if there's anything you don't really use, you can bring it up to the top. And then again, anything down here, you just press and hold, and then you swipe them to where you want them to be. So this way, maybe when you pull it down once, your first ones that you see here, the first 6 is what you use majority of the time. When you swipe it down one more time, these are going to be the main ones you use. And then you have your secondary, and then your third that you might not use, but you might pick up here and there. So that's really pretty much how I fully customize my phone between all the different applications, between Home Up and Sound Assistant, One Hand Operation Plus, some of the things built into the phone, the wallpaper services, the Google search bar widget. I mean, there's so many things that we kind of covered here today. So write a comment below the video of which of these was your favorite and that you might adapt inside of your own phone for your personal use. But I hope you guys have liked this video. If you guys did, please give this thing a huge thumbs up. Don't forget to hit subscribe. Subscribe right over here on the very bottom left-hand side. And if you like this video, then more than likely you'll also like this video. And I'll see you guys later.